proportion. Speaker Pelosi and I have laid out a path to responsibly pass a continuing resolution to keep the government open and suspend the debt until December of 2022. That is commensurate with the time needed to cover the bipartisan $908 billion emergency COVID relief bill that was supported by 40 Republicans and McConnell. It was passed when Trump was president, when McConnell was leader, with Democratic support. So this debt that we are asking to be spent is all Trump debt, which we supported the spending. But it is Trump debt, not Democratic debt. But Republicans seem intent on driving our country down a dangerous road that leads off a fiscal cliff. Remember, Republicans and Donald Trump added $8 trillion to the national debt in 4 years. And the question that you press always ask is, will McConnell blink? The question is, why is McConnell willing to risk so much in this country to play a political game? I hope you'll ask him that question, because that's the seriousness of this. The Republicans have conjured up a most dishonest and duplicitous arguments to justify the reckless strategy. Two arguments they make. One, they say, well, McConnell says, he comes up with this sophistry, which has no reality and is dishonest. There was a Democratic House, a Democratic Senate, a Democratic President, they should do it. In 2017, there was a Republican House, a Republican Senate, and a Republican President, and McConnell moved to raise the debt ceiling, and we joined him. We could have blocked it. He didn't have 60 votes. So this idea that when the party, that's new McConnell, that's McConnellism. And number two, and even worse, it is that that they're paying for, this is because Democrats are getting the country further in debt. None of this debt that we are asking for has anything to do with what's happening now. Even the Wall Street Journal, don't take my word for it, even the Wall Street Journal, raising the debt limit would facilitate future spending, and Congress would still need to raise the debt limit this fall, even if no new spending programs are enacted. That's the Wall Street Journal, directly contradicting Leader McConnell and the Republican senators. So I hope you'll ask all the Republican senators, not just McConnell, why they're willing to do this. That's the question. That's the fundamental question here. Not who's going to blink. Why would one person risk all of this in a blinking contest? It makes no sense. Remember, the bottom line, this will hurt our economy dramatically. A new Zandy report. Default over a period of time could lead to 6 million jobs lost, send unemployment to 9%, take $15 trillion out of the economy. Who would want to do that? It could stop payment for Social Security recipients, stop payments to veterans, raise interest rates for making a mortgage or a car more expensive, cost local governments more. There's a tax increase if you let the debt ceiling expire. It's a tax increase because local governments will pay more interest and have to charge their taxpayers more money. So Republicans are driving America towards a default as we heal from COVID. It's going to harm every American, but their arguments don't carry any water. As many reporters have pointed out, the chief argument from Senate Republicans that they don't want to deal to raise the debt because they don't want to deal with future spending is just not is false. It is just not true. Senator Warner.
Thank you, Leader Schumer. And Chuck's already laid out. What we're talking about is, are we going to pay the credit card bills that we've already racked up? You know, nothing would be more irresponsible at this critical moment than messing with the full faith and credit of the United States. I was here in 2011 when we got into that zone and when we got put on credit watch, when our interest rates started to go up. Messing with that now, at this moment in time, would be the height of irresponsibility. I know some of my Republican friends say, well, we don't want to see extra spending. Well, if interest rates go up due to a default by only 1%, That adds an additional $200 billion a year minimum on interest costs. $200 billion a year that gets paid out before we write a Social Security check, before a member of our military gets paid, in front of everything else. You want to talk about an irresponsible spending program? That over 10 years is over $2 trillion simply by being irresponsible on defaulting on our debt. You want to stop spending? You want to bring down costs? Do the right thing, and let's raise the debt ceiling. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Warner. Senator Wyden.
Thank you, Mr. Leader. And my colleagues have said it very well, and I'm going to keep this really short. First of all, even if this Congress did not spend another dime, you would still need to raise the debt ceiling. And all across the country, when you talk to citizens about this issue and you set aside all the Washington, D.C. process and procedure, they say, of course, you got trouble if you don't pay bills you've already racked up. And that is what this issue is all about. Second, I've tried to crunch the numbers as chairman of the Senate Finance Committee as exhaustively as anybody, and since Congress last raised the debt in 2019, the Trump tax giveaways have cost nearly $500 billion. So you actually can bring home the fiscal consequences of some of the damage that was done in 2017. Two last points. 2011 in particular, when there was an effort to do this to another president, President Obama, just the threat of doing this, not even actually doing it, even the threat of doing it caused substantial economic damage. So I'll only conclude by way of saying that what is especially regrettable about the McConnell strategy is it moves us yet again towards a double standard that serves this country so poorly. We said during the Trump years, we're all in it together. We've got to deal with these economic challenges that can put the country's very economic future at risk. We're all in it together. The McConnell strategy is once again to try to divide for political advantage. We just hope as we go forward in the days ahead that we recognize, as we did during the Trump years, we are in it together as a country. And divisive strategies, particularly now, as we try to come out of the Delta variant, are so damaging to America.
Senator Stabenow.
What Senator McConnell is talking about is incredibly reckless and incredibly serious. And when we look at what he's talking about after going through the pandemic, all of the COVID packages that we've done, and the fact that this debt ceiling essentially is being raised to pay for what we all voted on a bipartisan basis during the Trump administration. So we come together to address the pandemic, and now Mitch McConnell and the Republicans are saying they don't want to pay for it. We're in a situation where they want to really hold the economy hostage. And when you look at it right now, the good news is that our economy is growing at the fastest rate it has grown in over 40 years. So they want to play politics, hold the economy hostage, and slow down an economy that desperately needs to move forward out of this pandemic. We know, of course, that Leader McConnell back in 2019 said defaulting on the debt would be a disaster. He's right. It would be a disaster. And as my colleagues have said, you're talking about raising interest rates so that it would be a disaster on every family, every small business, every family farm, every local unit of government by raising their costs. We also know that when we talk about this from the standpoint of the economy, that Secretary Yellen has said that failing to raise the debt limit would precipitate a financial crisis. So the bottom line is this. Come on, Mitch, stop playing politics with our economy, with people's lives, with their pensions, with their pay, with their ability to make their own payments, whether it's their house or whether it's their car or whether it's food for their family. This is a moment to be responsible as a country, and Democrats will be responsible.
Thank you, Senator Stabenow. Go ahead, Manu.
Given all the Given all the uncertainty that's out there, and the fact that Democrats do control all levers of power in Washington, can you guarantee and reassure the American public that ultimately you will raise the debt ceiling, even if it requires just Democrats to do it?
This Secretary Yellen has made extremely clear that it would be a tremendous mistake to deviate from a bipartisan solution when we come to raising the debt ceiling, and that's what we Democrats are focused on. Next. Look, our goal is to get the two-track process moving forward. We had a very serious discussion in the caucus about it. I've met with a group of the more moderate senators, and we are working very hard to come up with a two-track strategy, to come up with a reconciliation proposal as soon as we can, hopefully by the 27th. Yes.
What is the backup plan? I understand you want bipartisan support for raising the debt
Okay.
ceiling. If it's just not there, what's your backup?
Ask Leader McConnell. The bottom line is very simple. It should be bipartisan. They don't have any good arguments. We are pursuing it. We are pursuing it to get a bipartisan support. And we're beginning to see Republicans thinking that over, as you've seen by what some of them have said. Yes, next. As I said, we're pursuing a bipartisan solution. That is you deviate from a bipartisan solution, it can cause huge problems for America now and in the future. Yes.
You mentioned the path forward for voting rights today on the floor and warned that Democrats were prepared to go it alone. What does that look like?
Look, right now we've had good meetings. As you know, we have a bill now that all 50 Democrats support. Senator Manchin has been seriously and diligently shopping that with Republicans. We've told them either if they support it, great. If they don't, tell us what changes they would make. So we hope we can get that to be bipartisan. But as I've said, if we can't get Republicans on the bill, that cannot be an excuse for not moving forward. Yes, way back there. A vote on the reconciliation bill? No, I don't think we could even procedurally get that done. Yes, go ahead.
Several of your members up here today calling on Republicans to do the right thing or not play politics with the debt ceiling. You've been lining up across from Mitch McConnell for a long time, respectfully. Why do you think that would work? Because
what's at stake is so tremendous. Everyone in America knows how all the economists and everyone else think about it. And the bottom line is that this is how it's always been done in the past, and it should not be deviated from, plain and simple. Thanks, everybody.